into week 7 of the college football catch-up for the Stateline Sports Reporters podcast. I am joined with Cole Johnson. We've got quite the slate of games.
Yeah.
This has been the weekend circle where everyone's like, if you have a wedding, don't have it on this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, don't have a weekend wedding in the
fall
to begin with.
As
ever.
you have two that you're
I've
going
had
to.
two, yeah. And I said, come on. But, yeah, this would be a bad weekend for that.
This would be. All right, we're going to get started with some SoCon action. Samford comes to ETSU this week. Can the Bucks bounce back?
I would like to think so, but you clearly saw there's some issues there after last week. You were there.
I was. It was tough.
I was at home trying to show some of my family what ETSU is all about, and they never
that was not it.
Score.
That was not it. 3-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
It was ugly. I went to go cut first half highlights. I was like,
not
we're
much to do.
We're going to pray that we have second half highlights.
Right. No. Yeah, it got to the point where my father said that this game's boring. And I said, sorry. I mean, it was pretty electric the first few weeks, and that's what was probably, at least from our eyes, even just frustrating a little bit for us. I can't imagine what it was like for the team. And Trey Lamb, obviously, what did he say this week? And they have some things to figure out, especially at quarterback.
Yeah, he said after the game, every spot was up for grab. Mm-hmm. That was after I asked specifically about the quarterback position because he did take out Jalen and put in Gino there towards the end. And although Gino did have that touchdown drive, I mean, he went 3 and out in his first and then threw an interception to end the game. Granted, that was, the last. Exactly. So we don't really give too much credit to that, but QB play is definitely something to evaluate. It seemed like from the Monday press conference that they were still leaning towards Jalen, but Coach Lamb didn't really seem pleased with how he led the offense. More so the leadership aspect is aside from the play.
Right. And that's what you need, especially in those tough games, because it's just you're going to have those Saturdays where not much is going for you, and the ball's not bouncing your way, just things aren't working, and that's when you need someone under center to kind of lead the way, or right the ship a little bit as best as possible, and it just never seemed to happen.
When you're talking about things not necessarily going their way, injuries certainly playing a big part right now. Cam Lewis is out at tight end. Bryson Irby out at running back. Both of them are not projected to play this week. So, I mean, that's another big hit to this offense that they're going to have to find a way around.
Yeah, that hurts. And this game just screams next man up kind of game, because when Trey Lamb comes in and says what he does on the Monday presser about every spot's up for grabs, that's already step one in the next man up phase. And then when you have two guys like that out, I mean, Irby's been fantastic out of the backfield this year.
That's their top rusher, their top receiver, both out. So someone's got to fill in. Someone's got to step up.
Yeah, definitely going to need some huge efficiency and from LeBourne and Houston out of that backfield, which they've shown they can do. They've kind of had a 3-headed backfield, but yeah, this is one they need.
Yeah,
because I think this is a turning point in the season where we've seen the highs of this program, and then we've now seen probably one of the lowest it could probably get for the talent they have. And if it goes off the rails for a second straight week, that's when things start to go shaky.
Yeah. It's kind of like you need the win this week. Samford beat them last year. They were tied at halftime. Samford pulled away in the back half of that game. You need this win because ETSU's off the following week. And so you kind of need the momentum boost. Then you have that 14-day stretch, nothing. You have that time to get maybe Irby and Cam Lewis back on track and back into this offense. So you need to be able to get it done without them. So that way you're coming back full strength coming out of that bye week.
Yeah, going into a bye week off a win versus going into the bye week off of a loss is just two completely different worlds. It really is, whether it's in college or in the NFL level. So, yeah, this is a big one. I think we see them. I don't think we see them have a game like they did last week for a second straight week. If that happens, I think
I don't want to be
serious.
I'm going to be hiding in the post-game press conference.
You do not want to be there.
It's a repeat of last week.
So, yeah, I don't expect that to happen. I'm not calling for a big blowout ETSU win. I think it's probably a close game, but I think they hang on this time.
Yeah, the history between these two teams is consistently close games. So I think it'll definitely be interesting. Sanford's quarterback is definitely a more poised passer. So the secondary is really going to have to step up in this game. So I don't know. It'll definitely be an interesting one, given how close these two have played in recent years.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on. Big talk this week. We have Florida at Tennessee. I mean, we got to talk about the absolute chaos that happened in college football last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was sitting in ETSU's press box trying to get all my stuff done after the Chattanooga game. The entire press box was up watching Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
Yep.
Beautiful. Love to see it.
Yes.
But then, you come back and then you realize that Arkansas beat Tennessee, and that you're not feeling as good about that one.
No, that felt like one of those kind of like trap games.
Oh, 100%.
For Tennessee. I don't think that is a reflection on this team and what is to come. I think that's just one of those just clunkers that happens in SEC play. Tennessee just really could not get the offense moving like we've seen early on in the year. It's a second game on the road now where Nico's kind of struggled, and that was the big question going in was, is he going to be able to perform at a high level on the road in the SEC? So far, he has not answered the call.
Yeah,
They're back home now. They have a stretch, 3 straight home games at Neyland. Maybe that sparks a little juice in him, gets more reps under his belt in these big game situations. And I think this is honestly probably the perfect game for this weekend coming off their first loss.
Is it?
I think it is. It could be worse. It could be Georgia. It could be Alabama.
It could be. It could be, but you said trap game last week. Talk about a trap game.
Yes, but coming off a loss,
you know what,
and that
Tennessee,
feeling and coming back home to their home crowd, I think this is a game where we see them bounce back in a big way.
You know what Tennessee's record against Florida is coming off a loss?
I'm not going to look at the paper right now.
It's not on the paper.
Good.
It's not on the paper.
Okay. It's probably
it's
not
0-8.
0-8.
0-8 coming off a loss going up against Florida.
And that's, history and those stats do play well. Those are trends that you follow, say if you're better or not. But
Tennessee 3
in the real world,
17.
Florida is struggling.
17 in this matchup in the last 20 meetings. 3-17.
Yes.
This has not been good to Tennessee.
It is not. No, you were right about that. But
Tennessee lost last year to Florida.
Yes.
Granted, that game was in the swamp. That's a little different. That atmosphere is definitely plays.
I feel like Florida was a lot better last year.
For sure. But
either way,
I mean, you've got freshman DJ Lagway coming in. I think that this 2-quarterback system that Florida kind of has got going right now with Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway could cause issues for Tennessee. You're facing two different quarterbacks there. Yeah.
But I keep coming back with a but on you for everything. It's like we're going back and forth.
I'm not Team Florida over here.
No. But yes, that can be a challenge for opposing defenses. But even with the loss last week, I mean, the best part of Tennessee so far this year has been their defense.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So if there's a group that can kind of snuffle that away and hold their own and still win a game for their team, I think it's this Tennessee defense. So I don't know. Yeah,
it'll be interesting. Florida definitely started off the season really struggled. They've kind of gotten a little bit back on track. They're coming off of 2 wins, 3-2 team. Tennessee obviously coming off of a loss. It'll be interesting. A night game in Neyland. I think that definitely adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like you said, this will be Tennessee's first game back in Neyland in essentially a month.
Mm-hmm.
So you're hoping that the fans show up and that can also provide some spark there.
And they will. There's no question. Never question the Tennessee faithful.
Oh, yeah, no.
But yeah, this is a game they need to bounce back because Bama's coming to town next week.
Precisely. Yeah. The
They're
word
not
of the
playing
week.
Good football. It's tough.
The word of the week was flush. Flush what happened last week. Look ahead.
Flush it away.
So we're going to hope that we can flush the absolute crap show
Yeah.
happened last week, and they get back on track with some big opponents coming up on this Tennessee schedule. That's for sure.
Yeah, fans are going to be wild. If there's teams in the SEC, I think from what I've gathered since my time here, I think Tennessee fans hate Florida more than most other teams.
Yeah,
it's up there.
They're in the
like,
top. What, Tennessee's biggest rivalry is Vanderbilt, but like it's not Vanderbilt. Really. That's not a rivalry. I mean, obviously we might need to give Vandy some credit after what they did.
They played well.
However, this is certainly it may be a one-sided rivalry with 3-17, but still
turn the fortunes around. All
right. No Virginia Tech. They are on a bye this week, so we're skipping over the ACC.
They need a bye.
They did need a bye.
They need some rest.
And you know what? We're gonna stick with the SEC first SEC matchup, the 120th overall matchup. We have the Red River rivalry this weekend.
Say that 10 times straight.
I would really rather not.
Because I know you said you struggled with just rivalry on its own.
Yeah, it doesn't flow off the tongue well, no.
Yeah, this is fun. I mean, last year, Texas was a big favorite again, and Oklahoma shut them down. That was Texas's only loss of the regular season last year, so it's not going to be a cakewalk as the number one team this time around. I haven't been impressed with Oklahoma much at all, to be honest. Especially their offense has struggled pretty big. We saw that when they played Tennessee.
They did make that switch at quarterback, so they've got their new quarterback in Michael Hawkins Jr. starting to set in finally. But I mean, he's heading into what, second or third start, second start. And you have Quinn Ewers coming back for Texas. And I mean, even you saw what Texas was able to do with Arch Manning behind under center. So it'll definitely play in their favor to have Ewers. I mean, he's been around this rivalry. He knows what this means. And it'll certainly be interesting.
Yeah, when you have all the dudes, I think Texas just has, if you just say it in simple terms, I think they just have more dudes than Oklahoma does. In most positions, in all facets of the game. And then when you bring an experienced QB like Quinn Ewers back, I don't see how Oklahoma can. They keep it close because this game's always close.
Except for 2 years ago when Texas blew them out 49-0. And peace and love, but this game could very much so resemble that, in my opinion. But it's so tough because it is that rivalry game. Everyone's going to go all out for everything.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Oklahoma 4-1, Texas 5-0. Now in those 5 wins, the Longhorns have outscored their opponents 225 to, get this, 35. That is quite the differential there.
Just a little bit.
So a lot more than what Oklahoma has. A lot of theirs have been squeaking it out at the end, a little more gritty.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really surprise me because Venables is definitely just that gritty head coach type. He was gritty when he was defensive coordinator at Clemson. It's just his brand of football. So this one will be interesting because you never know how a matchup like this is going to go. But it certainly on paper seems like this could be another Texas coming out big.
On paper, it does. But on paper last week, we almost had 3 top 17.
That's fair. That's 100% fair. I said
Miami.
I took a week off of sports betting last week, and it was like someone, was speaking in my ear, like, don't bet, because I would have never hit on anything. Because I would have pounded Alabama to cover against Vanderbilt, and clearly that did not happen.
Yeah, I stayed away from that.
There you go. All right, we are going to move on along. This is arguably, aside from the Red River rivalry, probably one of the biggest games of the week. Number 2 versus number 3, Ohio State versus Oregon. This will be
I'd say one of the biggest games of the year.
For sure. I mean, 2-3, this is a playoff game that you're getting in the regular season.
Yeah, this is a game that I remember being talked about before the season started when Oregon was coming to the Big Ten. And it's like, now, okay, so if you just rewind even just to last year, before this was a 12-team playoff, this is one of those games that determines, okay, who's going and who's not.
Yeah.
now either way, whoever loses this game is probably still fine, but it doesn't take away the massive implications because what it does now with the 12-team playoff is whoever wins this game has a more
It's almost
track to
guaranteed.
a home playoff game
Yeah.
and a bye
Yeah.
if they get the one with the top 4. So it's a big one no matter how you put it. I just think the loser in this one will be okay. They're still going to be in the playoff unless they drop another one, but I don't know. This is
probably
exciting.
Like, the first of 2 matchups between these two?
It might be because I would not be shocked. I mean, yeah, it probably will be.
Yeah.
If you look at the scope of the Big Ten right now.
So. It'll certainly be interesting. I think that Oregon's defense doesn't quite stack up. Ohio State's definitely been more dominant throughout their entire season so far.
Mm-hmm.
However, they both their singular shared opponent this season has been Michigan State, and they both had a pretty similar outcome in that game. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what this turns into. You got two good quarterbacks here, Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, too. You said it. Ohio State's dominated in every game. Oregon struggled early on. They did not start playing good football until about a week or 2 ago. So that's where you line it up that way. It could be, is it one of those weeks where Ohio State kind of comes back down to earth a little bit and Oregon plays their best game of the season? Now you could be given the edge to the Ducks. So that's where it depends on who comes out fast and right out of the gate. Honestly.
Yeah. If you look at the history of this matchup, they've played 10 times before. Ohio State holds the 9-1 advantage in the matchup. However, the last game they played went to the Ducks back in 2021. And that was, a touchdown game decided by 1 touchdown. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. There's certainly Oregon's kind of needs their offensive line to step up, make sure that they give that pass protection to their quarterback, or else that's going to be game over super early. Ohio State seems to have the better running back core, so if they can get the ground game running, so it's kind of different focuses for the different teams right there.
Yeah, I have nothing else to add.
All right.
I'm just excited to watch it.
I think it'll definitely be a good one. That's for sure.
What time's this game at?
I don't know. I did not look that up.
Let me look.
It's got to be noon, right?
Seeing if it's gonna. Is it
the
big noon game?
Noon kickoff because
screams big noon.
Because Red River Rivalries typically that noon kickoff. They're not. It is not a noon game this year. So I think that they had to replace it with this one, right?
Oh no!
Is it late?
It's on NBC at 7:30.
That's our station.
An NBC.
That's our station.
It is.
It's maybe not. I'm so disappointed.
That's gonna push the broadcast back a little bit.
Probably. Look, overtime game, completely washed out.
That would be something. I don't know. That's weird.
What's the noon game then? No good noon games?
I don't know. I truly don't. There's Alabama and South Carolina's at noon, but that's on ESPN.
Huh.
I don't know what the big noon game on FS1 will be.
All right.
Couldn't tell you. Weird. I guess we'll find out later.
There you go.
Right. You know, I thought it was Penn State. Is it Penn State and USC?
It might be.
Does that sound right?
I have not looked at the schedule yet.
Might be Penn State.
I've not figured that out.
That's still a good game.
All right, we are going to
we discuss what time games.
Well, yeah, we're gonna move on from that. We can just check ESPN after we're done. We're gonna shift. We are gonna move into the Lawrence Locks segment. We didn't do great last week at all. I don't think a lot of people did great, so I'm gonna give us some grace there.
The one we did get correct is A&M taking out Mizzou.
I think I picked Mizzou, didn't I?
I don't remember.
I think I picked Mizzou in our little online thing, and then said that I did not like Mizzou. Yeah. I thought Mizzou was overrated for sure, and that, yeah. All right, we are going to start off Stanford at ETSU. No line for this game. Who's going to win?
ETSU. I gotta roll the Bucks.
We both so confidently said ETSU last week against Chattanooga, and it was really disheartening to watch the outcome of that. However, and I think that like in the past, Stanford's certainly been a stronger team because ETSU's certainly been a weaker team in past years. I think just given the energy from Trey Lamb, I find it really hard to believe that this team doesn't come in with that go get them and like stomp on their throat energy. Like we need to do what we need to do to win.
Yeah, I think they're going to play. They say play with their hair on fire. I think that's it. I just think there's no way they get away with not stepping up to the challenge that Trey Lamb has presented them.
We're both rolling with ETSU in this one then. Go Bucks. Florida at Tennessee. Tennessee opened as 16-point favorites, now at 15.5 on ESPN Bet.
I don't like that line.
I don't like that line either. So
I was so confidently said take Tennessee minus 14.5 last week, and we saw what happened there. Not only didn't cover, but they lose the game.
I picked Tennessee in our little online thing to win, I want to say 40-14. And I was talking to Steve Wilmoth about it, and he was like, why did you do that? And my thought process is like, I think Tennessee either absolutely blows out Florida in this game and it's like crazy, or they lose. Those are my two things, because it's like Tennessee is either going to, and I'm not even going to say that they cover the 15.5. I think it might be like a 14, like a 2-touchdown win.
This is a stay away for me.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose,
for sure.
If I absolutely had to choose, I would say
Florida's covering.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also saying Florida's covering. Tennessee money line.
Yeah.
All right. Texas, Oklahoma, 14.5 for Texas all week.
Yeah. Hasn't moved at all. So that's telling you the books are locked in on Texas, and I am too.
To cover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we could keep rolling all these one-score games.
I think Texas is so much better than Oklahoma, but I think that this rivalry will keep it within 2 scores. And so I'm sticking with Oklahoma to cover the 14.5.
Okay.
All right. Ohio State opened 3.5-point favorites, now 3-point favorites over Oregon.
Buckeyes -3.
I really don't like Ohio State. Sorry to our weekend meteorologist, Teresa Carter. Whenever Ohio State, they lost last year, to Michigan? Was that their first loss?
I think
it was. But I went down and I, for sure, no skin in the game, absolutely rubbed it in her face. Felt kind of bad after the fact because she's a very nice woman.
That's not the person I would
yeah, but hear me out. Look, she's got the Buckeyes tags. Like, she's hardcore Buckeyes, walks in with her Buckeyes coffee cup. You know, I just don't like Ohio State. Never have. Didn't like Urban Meyer. I don't really have anything personally against Ryan Day, but not my guy. So
not my guy.
I said I feel like Ohio State will win, but I will never root for Ohio State. So I have to pull for Oregon. I think Ohio State will cover 3.5 though. Hoping Oregon pulls it out, though.
Yeah, I don't. That was a whole lot just to say Ohio State's going to cover. that whole story had you going like, oh, she's taking Oregon, and she still just stays Ohio State.
I felt like I needed to set the scene to be like, I really don't feel happy picking Ohio State. However, I'm also like not going to pick Oregon just because I want to pick Oregon. Like, I'll pick Clemson because I want to pick Clemson. I'm not picking Oregon just because go Ducks. I don't know.
Oh, man.
All right. We've started to fall off the wagon here.
I think we're both tired.
We're both pulling with Ohio State. And that's going to wrap up week 7 of the College Football Catch-Up podcast. We'll have coverage from that ETSU game and that Tennessee game where I'll be at ETSU. You will be at Tennessee, so make sure to look forward to that this weekend, and we'll be back next week for another week of the College Football Catch-Up.